What's up, you guys? Yes, I am back here again for another review for you all, and I've had my second coffee of the day. I'm wearing an unironed shirt because I realised it was laundry day and I didn't have anything to wear that was ironed, but hey ho, we're gonna live with it. And it's raining, so I'm like, can you hear the rain in this video? You probably can, but we're just gonna say it's ambiance because I don't have a microphone and no other time to film, so tough. Anyway guys, enough of the hyper review today. I'm very like high. We are going to review a film for you today, and it's a film that I actually got to see in London Film Festival, but as you probably know if you have already watched this film, or at least like you've read the synopsis, you're going to know that this film warrants a second viewing because it's very confusing and disturbing and weird and everything I love. This film, of course, is Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor, and like his dad, David Cronenberg, this definitely lives up to his films On the Fly and The Scanners, because this is body horror and metamorphosis and all of that weird stuff. So let's unpack it. Undeniably confusing and disturbing, Possessor takes the course of this assassin for hire called Tassia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's spelled like tasty. I kind of want to keep saying tasty. And she is an assassin for hire who like morphs herself into other people's bodies. The host that she has to take on is Colin, and basically they're using Colin as a way to kind of kill the girlfriend and the father, so then the brother can get all of the money. But I'm not going to go too much into the narrative because I'm actually going to do a blog post hopefully, so watch out for that. I will probably be posting it on my social media, but for now I'm just going to kind of do a review on the whole film as a general. There will be like little spoilers sprinkling through, but with this film, the spoilers, there's not really anything too impactful that like it's not going to be like a Luke, I am your father type spoiler. So from the offset, like this film is kind of a little bit disturbing. If disturbing for you is someone like kind of gouging a part of the head and like blood and everything like that, I suppose that is very disturbing. And the film kind of carries on that a lot more. I remember watching it the first time and there was like a water reversal. And I was like, oh fuck, is this gonna be some like weird horror to net mashup type thing? But no. It's just basically because this woman has to go into another person's body, she has to kind of recalibrate herself even in her own world. Because this is all happening in the same world, this is not like another dimension and things. So like stuff she has to kind of figure out, and she has to recalibrate herself and stuff so she doesn't get a little bit confused in the world. But on the second watch with things like this film, there is a lot of subtext that I lost on the first watching. I think because on the first watching you're so bamboozled by like all of this like body morphing and like technology and like killing and blood and everything, it kind of just makes you a bit like, what? But when you go in the second time, you know what you're kind of dealing with this film, so you can pick up on a little bit more of the subtext. And with our protagonist, Tassia, who is played by Andrea Riseborough, and then we're also with the host, Colin, that's played by the lovely, very attractive Chris Abbott. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new crush incoming. I'm sorry, I need to stop. There's something about black-haired guys, I don't know what it is. But obviously with them two being real people and having to be like living in these real worlds, Brandon Cronenberg definitely does a good job of establishing both of them in their respected worlds. So you have Tassia, you see her obviously in this like institution-y type science lab kind of freaky Incredibles type set. Then you see her with her family and you see her sort of like have this kid, and she's got this like boyfriend, husband, Michael, and you see her with like her friends coming over for tea and stuff. And then obviously you don't really get to see Colin because obviously Tassia kind of morphs into him. It's only till later we start to see his characteristics come out. But I think with Brandon Cronenberg, what he was trying to do is establish and remind the spectator that this Colin guy isn't really Colin. He's actually a shell of a person, and like Tassia's just kind of come into him and pretended to be him, and like almost like acting. She's trying to be him and a different character, and basically Colin for now is just a shell of a human that she's projecting on. So with that, he really wanted to make a clear distinction between the two of them. And there's like little things that you pick up on the second watch, like she cuts an apple when she's with her friends at the table and she cuts it with a knife, she cuts a chunk out of it, and then when she's in Colin, she does the same. She like cuts the apple and everything, and there's like little hints of that, and especially like when she goes to the house and she looks at like her kid and her husband through the window. It's constantly there to remind you that this isn't Colin, this is actually Tassia still, and she is on this mission. And like obviously that's something again that you would pick up on the second watch. So I think Cronenberg definitely knew that like to clear this distinction he needed to do something more visually and maybe audibly to impact that on the first viewing. And that is what he did. He did an amazing job. There's a part when she's having to talk, Tassia herself has to talk to her boss, and they kind of do this like weird mind thing, talk freely, I don't know, it's some weird scientific-y brainy stuff. And she's talking, but there's like a reverb, if that's even the right word, I don't know, technical again, have no clue. A reverb on Colin's voice as well as Tassia's voice. There's an underlying second voice to Colin, and it's Tassia's voice, but obviously she doesn't have that when she's Colin and she's around the girlfriend and stuff, because that's when she can't make her mind talk freely. And apart from just editing, cinematography, he does this very well. There's flashes of orange and flashes to like sort of normal colour, like everyday colour, and it's just to clear the distinction between the two of them, especially like towards the end when she's lying on the bed, well, Colin's lying on the bed, and they're doing like the heart beating thing, and it flickers between the two of them. It's like Colin's on the bed, but actually then Tassia's on the bed. When Tassia's on the bed, it's the orange and the red lighting, which again I could dissect because I'm a film nerd, and I could be like orange, red, danger, and blood and all of this and anguish. And then obviously when it's like Colin, it's like the ground is sort of colours the everyday, and it's just to give that clear distinction between the two playing off themselves. But also visually, as I said, like it's really nice colouring and it's disturbing and freakish. And now obviously I said with Colin, he towards the end his characteristics come out a little bit more, and that's because she only has 3 days to do this task. But we know from the previous hit that she had to do, she has a problem of like pulling the trigger and killing herself to get out of the body, and this is like a problem for her. And like they talk about how a thought, even just a single thought, can mean that the host can actually take over again. And this is kind of what happens. There's like an inner conflict between Colin and Tassia, because Tassia is doubting herself and because she can't pull the trigger and something's just not letting her, and because of that her brain starts to like deteriorate the longer that she's in there for. So he then kind of starts to take over, and obviously he's the more dominant role then. So having the sort of the flicking between the two of them and a clear distinction between the two of them, it helps the spectator see who's in charge of the situation. But like also then at the end they kind of become the two, like they kind of become joined forces. Like she's telling him like kill, like do it if you want to, and he's like I will. There's like such a good way of doing that and showing that, and it was very interesting. There is strong acting throughout all of this, like even with the side characters, like they're not used as much, but even they are still very, very good in this film. But hats off to Christopher Abbott, not just because he's attractive, but also to Andrea Riseborough, because I think what they did was amazing with this film. Like Christopher Abbott had to pretend to be like a guy being controlled by another woman and have that kind of inner conflict in his head and kind of show that, and I think he did that brilliantly. When he had to do that recalibration, I think I said that right, scene in the mirror, and he's just staring at the mirror and he's like crying and he's like sad and he's trying to smile, and it's like, oh my god, like he's having to try and do these brainy type control, and he has to switch quickly between them, and like he just had such a control over his acting, and it was just amazing to see. And also with Andrea Riseborough, she had to, especially in the scenes towards the end when they're flicking between the two, she had to have a clear distinguish between like her and Colin. And like obviously it's not her playing Colin throughout, but like even when she's doing that telescope scene and she's trying to like, yeah babe, no babe, I don't want to go out for deep babe, and all the stuff like that, like it was just, yeah, it's like all of it is really in good preparation. And I think the two actors, if they didn't fully commit to what this story was with the whole body snatching and stuff and the metamorphosis, I don't think it would have been as powerful, and especially towards the end with the inner conflict, it would not have worked as well if the two characters didn't fully invest in the conflict. So on the whole, I really enjoyed this film a lot more on the second watch. Now on the first watch, I kind of didn't really like it because I was a bit bamboozled by it all, but on the second time I was like, this is a film nerd's dream. Like there is just so much for me to unpack here. Like I just want to talk about Andrew Tudor and like his narrative, like horror featurey things and all of this, and like I'm really excited. And like the colours and everything, I'm so upset that I won't be able to get to see this on the big screen. Like the first time I watched it on my little like laptop, and then on the second time I watched it on my telly, but even then like on the telly it was a lot better, but it was still not enough. Like these amazing visuals, and it was just like I want to be in that cinema with that sound as well, because the sound is very unsettling as well, especially with like the reverb thing when I was talking about with the two voices. I think that would be really good on this cinema, especially if they did it from like one from like the left speaker and one from the right speaker, and you had that like almost like you were having that inner conflict. It would have been really quite cool, and I'm geeking out now. But I will say, if you don't like gore, I would not watch this, because this is body horror, okay? This ain't nice like slicing of the neck. This is like the eyeball scene and the teeth. Like I'm fine with blood, guts and gore, don't get me wrong, but even that had me look away for a second, and that is saying something. So this film maybe isn't for the faint-hearted of people, but this film is definitely interesting, not just to unpack but just to watch. It's definitely a head turner. Now I would actually go out on a limb here and say this is probably one of the best horror films made so far. Well, not made so far actually, that's probably a bit too wild of a statement here, but at least in this decade, and that's saying something because I love Midsummer, but I think even with Midsummer it kills more on the psychological thriller rather than the horror. So I would kind of give this one gracefully to Possessor because of just how creative it is actually, and especially on the second watch it kind of convinced me that this is pretty good film, I have to admit. So I was kind of grateful that I gave it another shot, and I was like, hey, I'm just gonna watch it again. But anyway guys, that's where my review ends. Now I didn't go deep into it as much as I would like, but that is because I will hopefully be doing a blog on this, and as I said at the start, I will be putting it on my social media, so you can watch Possessor in the meantime and then read my review and then have an excuse to watch it again. Just saying. But I'm really excited to do that, but obviously with Christmas coming up and with me working in retail, I don't know how many hours I'll be doing and then whether I'll be happy enough to even sit down and write something. But hopefully I should get it out to you guys, at least when I get a third watch, because I think I'm going to do another third watch and put myself through all that torture. But also then kind of not torture, because I see a lot of Christopher Abbott in there, and it's a very good film just on that alone. But let's refrain away from the thirsting, because I don't want Sebastian Stan to get jealous, what can I say? So I'm going to end the review for you there. Thank you ever so much guys for watching this review. It's actually quite fun to make these now, and I'm getting a lot more confident in them. Hopefully I should be having more reviews out. I've got a really cool idea that I thought was really cool, but then everyone else has done it now, but like I don't care, I'm still going to do it because I want to dress up really nice. So hopefully that should be out next week, I think, depending whether I get the screener or not early. But yeah, so hopefully fingers crossed on that. But anyway guys, have a lovely rest of your day. I will see you soon. Bye! Oh, also if you could just like and subscribe, I forgot to say that in all of the bundle of the thirst and everything. So just like and subscribe, maybe comment down below, share this to all your friends. Bye again. Keep your posture here.